Pretty much every game developer listening to this episode now will know that game development is a little bit like Jenga. You move a piece around and something else is very likely to break. So what happens when you try to apply that concept in the context of a mental asylum simulator? I spent some time with the lovely Zeitglas team for Indie Diary number 83, which is the last Indie Diary of the year. Not the last episode of the Indie Diaries podcast for the year. More on that later. I'm Anthony Wolf. Welcome to the Indie Diarist. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the Indie Diarist podcast. This one is with Zeitglas. I hope I'm saying it the right way. This is with Zeitglas, a lovely development studio from Switzerland who's working on, you guys have just released, actually, Sanatorium, which you market as a mental asylum simulator. It's super interesting as a concept. But I don't want to say too much about you guys. I want to hand it over to you. So first of all, Sebastian, Fabian, whoever of you wants to start first, tell the listeners a little bit about you, what you do, where you're based, although I've already said it was Switzerland, and what you're working on right now.
Yeah, my name is Sebastian Riedi. I am the lead developer and designer of Sanatorium, a mental asylum simulator. And I originally started out in marketing and media production, and then moved on to games, because I was always interested in many different things and never really found the one thing that's like just fitting, or where everything is involved, and I kind of think I found that in games.
Well, that definitely helps on the game side of things, I guess, on the game marketing and promotion side of things, I suppose, but... Yeah, no, well, you'd be surprised how many people say the same thing, like nothing quite fits as much as games. And what about you, Fabian?
Yeah, I'm Fabian. I'm the artist and sound designer. And I got into games because I wanted to study illustration or animation, but then I found out that the media game is way more interesting. That I can put a lot more stuff into it, and that's how I got into the subject.
Right. Okay. Well, that's already pretty exciting backgrounds from you guys. I'm sure we're going to have a chance to discuss them even further. But first, as I've mentioned over email and such, we do have a little prologue segment here. It's an icebreaker. About 60 seconds, you're going to hear some background music. Let's see how many you can get through. So, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm going to start with this first question, which is... what's the first game you ever fell in love with?
I would say Cossacks.
I would say Commander Keen.
Oh, love it. Okay. If you could play only one genre for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Fallout.
4X games.
Okay. What's the most underrated game everyone needs to play? You might have to think about this one for a while.
No One Lives Forever.
Okay.
Also...
Okay.
Same. Ditto.
Right, so can you pitch your game in one sentence? Any one of you can do.
It's 1923. You work in a mental asylum. You diagnose and treat patients, but you're not a doctor.
Great, okay. What's your guilty pleasure game? Something you love but know isn't perfect.
Fallout 76.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
I would say stuff like Medieval Engineers.
Oh, that's not bad. Very niche. I know that game. Love it. But we're at time. Actually, you guys kind of went through all of them. I think, I'm very happy with this little icebreaker segment where we can already see some of your personality come through there, which is lovely. But now we can relax. We can slow down after this lovely 60-second segment, and we can simply talk about your story and how you guys got into game development. First of all, well, Commander Keen, nice little reference there. I'm going to say. But Medieval Engineers, I haven't played it in ages. I have. I think Space Engineers is the game where I have the most hours on Steam, and that's because I used to do it in co-op with a friend, and we did a lot of builds together. But Medieval Engineers, I kind of played it when it was still in alpha. So how is it now?
Yeah, in my view, it never really got out of,
Yeah.
or it is released and so on, and it has this huge potential. But as you did with Space Engineers, it's just something that you play together with people.
Yeah.
And the modding community does really great stuff, like a whole industrialist modern server where you can build pipelines and drills and so on.
Wow. So it became like some sort of Satisfactory.
Yeah. And my thing then was to build airships that can carry guns and so on. So yeah.
Wow. All right. Yeah. No. Well, I mean, yeah, and I know they're working on Space Engineers too, but apparently it's just not really done yet, and it's in very early access, kind of like it was with Space Engineers 1 when it released. It still didn't even have planets. But anyway, I digress. So these indie diaries are these episodes. I kind of see them as some sort of indie diaries, kind of memoirs, as I always say. So it's about your story and how you guys got into game development, why you did it, and why you're still doing it now. So I want to start from the very beginning, and I want to ask you, what is the first memory that you have that has to do with video games? Maybe we'll start with Fabian.
The first memory I have you mean in my life, not my professional career. Yeah, it has to be Commander Keen again, because I remember being at my friend's home when I was very young, and the marketing concept of Commander Keen was quite special back in those days. I mean, we're talking about mid-90s. So they sold computers and they put the first part of the game on them, so you could play them for free. And if you wanted to buy part 2 and 3, you had to write them a letter with cash in it.
And yes, and they would send you
the floppy disks. So my computer, or the computer of my family, did not have any games on it except Minesweeper or something. But the computer that my friend's family had, they had this Commander Keen, the very first episode on it. So we were playing that up and down all day, and that's how I think that's the first time that I somehow got into games.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a very lovely story. And yes, I did read Masters of Doom. I'm too young to have experienced Commander Keen on my own skin, but like, but yeah, I did read Masters of Doom and all those stories about shareware and from those days, and the fact that you literally had to mail them a letter with money.
When you finish the game, or when you hit pause or something, or in the menu, I don't remember. There was like a little hint that you can order episode 2 and 3 if you like. I mean, that's how they did it back in the days, without Steam, without before computer games were something that you can buy just everywhere.
And also most of Europeans didn't have a credit card, so
yeah. But I'm not sure if I could do that from Switzerland, if I could order it. But the computer was also almost a few years old, so I don't.
Yeah, it was completely different world, wasn't it? Yeah. What about you, Sebastian? Like, well, what's your earliest memory?
My earliest memory, I think it was around 97, 98, where they're not really cousins, but like older children, I was around 5 at the time, older children of friends or family friends came to visit, and they had a Game Boy. Something or with I think it was the one was surely Mario, but the other ones I don't really remember what that was, but that was like the first real contact with video games. And then later on some like stuff that is for children, like from the Tertio publisher in Germany. That was a while back. And then later the first real game or a real game would be like Cossacks by GSC Game World. They still exist and they still make games, and they did Stalker, and now they did also Cossacks 3, which was
That's really cool. I also saw a kitty there, Fabian. Yeah, mine is soundly asleep for the next 5 minutes. So, yeah. No, great memories from both of you guys. And well, I mean, all those Commander Keen was obviously a very colorful and sci-fi game, and obviously you talked about the Game Boy Color, Sebastian. So um, I really don't see a lot of overlaps with what you guys are doing now. So what do you think there are some elements from those early games that have been poured into Sanatorium?
I think from the earliest games, besides the one that, or like the first Contact, that was a Game Boy, but I've been like a PC player my whole life, the other way, because my parents weren't really big in this video game console thingy, and we only had 2 TVs, so there wasn't really an option to have one in your room, and so on PC I would say a lot of the point and click stuff that we have in the game comes from this era. Was also the era of like the Thing point and click adventures. I remember that there was once from school, or from my school, a teacher was very into computers as a new teaching device and thing, and did everything himself to have something like that. And one of the things that we got and were able to play there was, I think, Torrent's Passage. Pretty old adventure. I can't remember who made it, but it wasn't at LucasArts Adventures, but it was right in this atmosphere of LucasArts Adventures.
Right. Yeah, no, never heard of that one. Obviously, play some LucasArts Adventures, but not that one specifically. We'll look into it for sure. Yeah. Well, obviously, I mean, there's always a moment in. Yeah, that's my. I don't know if you can hear it. That's my cat's feeder. Just and now she's awake. There we go.
Just awoken herself, or
yeah, no, she has a bit of a sudden awakening, I guess. She's a little bit spooked, but she's fine. She's gonna be all right. So yeah, no, what I was going to say is, there's always that moment when you realize that playing games isn't enough. Maybe there's something there that compels you to make them. And when was that moment for you guys? When did you realize you wanted to make games? And was it like some sort of a light bulb moment?
I think for me that was when I had to decide which kind of study I want to do, and I was really into illustration and everything. And I went to the university, to those information days, and I just got very hooked. I mean I got in contact with games very early, as we just discussed, but I was never this kind of a gamer that plays everything all day. So I never really thought about how it is to produce a game, or what it needs to do that. And I was always very focused on visuals and sound, and but I think when I learned that these days you can do a kind of a small game, which you don't need 100 people working on it, and that you can like tell your story and make it interactive and everything, and put your music into it and your sound design and everything. I think that was the moment where I got really hooked.
Okay. I think for me, the first contact was with like all the possibilities you had with the level editors, from like all these RTS games, and then I was a long time like gamer in the classical sense of the early 2000s or the 2000s, where you had like magazines and buy the magazines and really were up in what's just currently coming out specifically on PC. And I was always under the impression that something like that would be cool, but it's just too complicated, or just the belief that it's too hard sometimes, or too hard to do. So we studied together. So when I applied for first time for the university, I originally wanted to do film,
Oh,
and but got rejected there, and then
oh,
tried it next year, thinking that I would do film again. But then you need so many people for that. I mean, no matter what kind of movie you're making, but you always need some people at least, or someone else than you, and you don't need that from games. I mean, we have so many stories of, or the few stories of single developer projects that get released and made, and so kind of was okay. Maybe it it isn't that hard. It's still hard, but it's hard in other ways than my 16-year-old self or my 18-year-old self thought it would be hard. That's not the hard part, but the other things um, that are the hard part.
well, the film path is an interesting entryway into games, I guess. Like, originally wanted to do films and such. It's kind of similar to the kind of path that I did, but obviously I'm not a game developer. I'm just a passion, but as a hobby maybe. But personally, I tried to get into screenwriting because I'm a writer in my day job. Tried to get into screenwriting, but it didn't quite work. And then the year after, I did just creative writing, and I realized that from there I could do basically anything. I could write anything that I wanted to, and it gave me a lot more flexibility and not necessarily being pigeonholed into one profession, which would have been a bit too constricting for me, I suppose, in a lot of ways. Um, but yeah, no, that's very interesting. And what would you say, like, all through all this time, and especially maybe from the development sanatorium, what would you say is a big development challenge that you guys have overcome, and how has it shaped your way to approach the game?
Gosh, it's really hard to answer that. I mean, the whole project itself was a challenge. I mean, the way it started out was that originally it was like my graduation project from my bachelor's in school. I was sure, yeah, I would want to do something again in that direction. Then left it for like, as we graduated in 2020, then I left it for like 1.5 years, just sit there, and then in 2022, I think we really got onto it,
Mm-hmm.
and jumped in like pretty or with a vague plan of what to do. Us with just doing it 100%, and it then by the end of the year, pretty much um, was becoming clear that yeah, that's not really something that we can do for a long time, just finance wise, and we were not really that much farther along, and yeah, the hard part is just that to figure some of these things out, or figure the game out while you're developing it. I mean, the core gameplay loop was there, but to just figure out, okay, how to improve on that and really improve that, and then you have like, I would kind of, it's kind of maybe still a bit in the game, this kind of Jenga development. So you take out a piece there, and
Yeah, I see that.
if you change anything, then yeah, it could be, yeah, but that's just like in the nature of the thing. I think
It is the
in
nature of
doing
the
it
thing.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree, because the very limited experience that I have with game development has taught me that you can plan as much as you want, but something is going to go wrong, and that you're going to be thrown a curveball at some point. So yeah,
It will always take longer than you think
yeah,
or
it
that
will
you
always take
want
longer.
to believe, and there will be more challenges than you plan. And
Yeah,
also, it's I mean, it's still a long time, so you really have to stay focused. You really have to believe in what you're doing. It's not every day feels the same, and if
yeah.
it's not your main job or something, that's kind of challenge to keep going.
Yeah, you have to visualize the end goal, I suppose, and then believe that that is going to be a vision that people will enjoy. And that's where a lot of people get stuck, or maybe jump between projects, or they start new ones and they don't finish the old ones. But well, you guys did something that I'd say I don't know if there's any sort of statistic, but most game developers cannot do, which is release actually a game to the public. And that is not of their own fault. It's just, sometimes it's the wrong game or this the wrong project, or they just don't have the tools to get to that point. So it's great that you guys manage that. And speaking of your game, now you described it as a mental asylum simulator in a way, but also a game where you are not the doctor despite diagnosing patients, which is really interesting. Where did the concept come from? Like, what inspired it?
I think the basic idea was to create something like a job simulator where you can like do things that you do every day when you go to work, the processes that you have. But
Got a bit of a jump from a job simulator to a mental asylum
well,
simulator.
I mean, if you're a doctor or if you're supposed to be a doctor,
Yeah.
it's still a job.
Yeah,
And
obviously, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I kind of built the mechanics around that everyday challenge that you have when you go to work, and then change the rules and change the the things that you work on, like the patience in our game. Yeah, I think that was the basic idea of the game.
It's great though, and I think it has a very, very interesting conflict at the base, which is, I mean, you're not a doctor, you're not supposed to be doing this, but you still do it, and that's where it can create a lot of very different situations, very interesting situations too. Anything to add, Sebastian?
yeah. Or one of the inspirational games, of course, and I think it's also visible, was Papers, Please, from
I was
2013,
going to
14,
say it.
right?
Mhm.
But there you also have this situation where the rules would always change, and that's kind of also an interesting aspect of the game. The less interesting one is the pressure time-wise you stand under, and so one of the ideas was also okay to have something like that, but less time pressure, more like in a quiet atmosphere. And where do you have something where it changes the rules constantly, and something like a mental asylum, but not today. That was always like very clear that we probably couldn't do that today, because it's a way more complex topic, and you have way more things that you do and would stumble over, and we kind of need to show a way to show rules that are clearly wrong from our today's perspective, and that's the best way. If you do it 100 years ago, you already have this feeling of it feels similar, but
The
it's
noir era.
similar enough to be something else, or that you register that it is.
Yeah, and it's a noir era, isn't it? It's got charm already in itself. It's the kind of Lovecraftian vibes there. Obviously, completely different, but it's the Lovecraftian era vibes.
Yeah, that
So
was an inspiration, definitely.
yeah, obviously, a big player of Call of Cthulhu myself. So,
But
uh,
let's say that's the reason why it's taking place in New England.
there you go. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
definitely.
It's also by mentioning noir. I mean, if the Western movies from Italy were colloquially known as spaghetti Western, then I think Sanatorium is fondue noir.
Fondue noir.
Because it's a noir kind of inspired game, but in color. But with lots of it is shading and shades and flat colors, and also the faces are always shaded in the game as well. So
it's a very interesting art style, and obviously I won't be able to show it on screen for those who are listening to the podcast on an audio platform. But like, it's a very interesting and flat 2D art style, very vector based and such. And you were saying, Fabian, that you illustrate with your mouse. I don't know
Yeah.
what kind of madman would do that, but you do it, and you did nail the style. So how's the experience for you there?
I don't know. I just I love to draw with pen on paper, but on computer I never really got into it. I tried several times, but I'm a trainee 3D artist, so maybe that's why I use the mouse to create. It's very technical. Sometimes I also create a 3D scene first and then paint over it, so it's very precise. But then the challenge is to make it look like it's hand drawn, which is kind of weird, but it works quite well. At least for me, it works quite well, and I'm quite happy how the game looks. It's
Yes,
it's
yeah.
somehow worked.
I think it has a very distinctive style. I think it works really well. And the listeners, I do invite you to check it out. You'll find links in the description of the episode, obviously, if you want to.
Well, one thing about the art style that's also important, or important to point out, that in a game about the human feelings or the human psyche, the human soul, none of the characters have eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never see eyes of any character.
Nice. Yeah. I think it was in the back of my head when I was looking at the art style. It's got, again, very distinctive style, really interesting, and people with glasses and different devices that you used to just hide the eyes from the player. That's
Yeah.
very clever there. Right. So, well, I mean, in terms of the development process and such, obviously, I mean, the game is out now, and you were telling me it's been, the week after release. Many developers are going to be able to relate with that, who have at least released one game and are listening right now. But it's pure chaos. But if we want to bring it to something, well, it has to be, but doesn't have to be positive. But the question, you can see it as such. What has been one of the most memorable reactions to your game so far? Something that you really do remember?
There were several times when people played it at the conventions where we showed it, and then they were really hooked, and then they said, I'm working in the field of mental health and it still feels the same, or just this thing just nowadays kind of feels the same.
Nice.
Nothing really changed there and stuff. I mean, not the treatments, but how you have to, for example, how you're overloaded with patients that you have to take care of. And I think that was very something that was kind of interesting to hear, and also led to very interesting talkings after that.
Yeah, I suppose a healthcare worker can relate with something like that. I'm visualizing a game where you're showing the strain that is put on healthcare systems worldwide today, but with the lens of the 1920s or late 1920s. So yeah, anything to add, Sebastian?
Yeah, I had something similar where it was also an interview kind of like this, where the person conducting the interview, it was in German, was also a PhD in psychology.
Oh,
and
okay.
He brought up that, yeah, basically your game is about the core of psychology, because it is a lot about interpretation, and that's really how you interpret something and how you interpret it in the system. And that kind of formulation never came to me, and it was just
Yeah.
oh my god. We are accidentally at the core of what a PhD in psychology thinks that
Wow, all right.
psychology is about, or about at its core, and even brought it up.
Accurate.
Yeah, and even brought up that, yeah, I will probably use that with students together to discuss it, not in the sense of that it's realistic or in any way, but like, okay, what are we doing here? Like at the core of it,
Oh, that's
what are you
good.
doing?
That's good. Accidentally scientifically accurate. I think that it's that could be a
more
new
like
tagline.
Philosophically accurate, or
Philosophically accurate. Yeah, exactly. No, but that's really good. That's really good. And I guess this is a nice segue into the next question that I wanted to ask you guys. When you think about your game, what is one element each that you are the most proud of?
I would say the most proud I'm of the having a game that looks like a card game.
Okay.
But it's not really. Or like to have managed this huge leap from, okay, how can we show something like psychology, or something nearing psychology in a form that people would understand, or players would understand.
Mm-hmm. Fabian, what about you?
I
Must
think
be the mouse drawn illustrations.
well, yeah, but I mean, in general, right now I can look at it and play it or watch streamers play it, and I think it's somehow, for me as a developer, it's never perfect, but it somehow looks and sounds and works like a complete thing, and nothing really falls apart from a visual or from any other way. It may not be perfect, but it kinda I'm distracted by your cat. Sorry.
Yeah,
It
she's
it
climbing.
kinda feels like it fits together, just all the parts in the game, and that
Mhm.
makes me a little proud.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a great feeling. Just seeing it, and I've heard it many times, especially the part about things fitting together, but also how you see it come together after a while.
Mhm.
Like there's like a magical moment when you're developing a game, and at some point it just clicks. Like all the little pieces start coming together, and you see the vision that you've been building towards for so long, and that's always a magical moment for everyone. It's
Yes.
so important.
Happened a few
Um,
times when I was very busy with, drawing backgrounds and stuff, and Sebastian was implementing all the stuff, and then I played it again, and it really looked like a game. That were the best moments, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that brings me to the question that is the core of the show, the one that inspired even me to found this show in the first place. It's a good almost 4 years ago now. Why are you both game developers? What drives you forward?
I love to tell stories, to create something. It doesn't really matter what. I mean, I also love to cook. It's very creative to cook, even though I'm not good in it. But it's like a process that makes fun, and I think the creating something like a game is something that really um, drives me to produce something that tells a story and that is somehow looks interesting and maybe hooks people to get into it.
Um, for me, I think it's also something that just my. I think as long as I can think, my family was somehow or multiple members were somehow involved with similar things. So my dad was one of the early electronics specialists, electronical engineers that got into computers, and then he once, I think, built for the pet. He built a billiard simulator.
Oh, okay.
Later he wasn't that keen on computer games itself, but yeah, and he was also a painter. And my mom is now a retired crafts teacher in Switzerland, and even my grandfather and so on. So everyone just did something,
The
not because
creative
it
vein
was.
runs in the family then, yeah.
Yeah, and why do you like make a chair or even like wood crafting and woodworking? For some, from people like my grandfather, it was a necessity because he couldn't afford anything else, or maybe, but it was always to, yeah, I want to do something that is there in the form I wanted. Yeah, I mean, based on the games I usually play with the, okay, I really like, if I can, stuff like Valheim, for example. If you, okay, I really like to build out I like to get comfy in my base, and oh, it even gives me gameplay bonuses, and then you do stuff that's not really necessary. I'm the kind of person that then plays it to an excess to move a mountain because it looks better this way. Not because you have to, but because yeah, you want to make something.
I think that is the soul of making games is just creating stuff, and
Mm.
a lot of creative people are obviously drawn to the hobby and to the profession in this career as well. And I'd say no one ever told me this answer though, Sebastian. That is a very unique one that I've gotten so far after almost 90 episodes of the show. That the fact that it's the creative part of making something the way you want it to be, and also offering to other people, that is often a common answer, but it's just the act of creating, I suppose. Well, believe it or not, we're almost at the end. I just have one more question for you guys, and then you are free. I wanted to ask you, since I mentioned at the beginning, these are kind of like memoirs or kind of like, the little biographies of you guys. If this were your final journal entry, the final note that you leave to the world, what's one message that you would leave for other people? Could be players, could be fellow developers. Up to you.
Never stop getting inspired.
Mm-hmm.
Go out, go to the forest, listen, look, smell, and go to the city, and just get inspired by all the little stories that happen all the time. That's how I do.
That's great. Yeah,
Man,
my
it's
philosophy as
difficult to
well.
say. I would say if you, it would be more general then. To solve something or to create something, you have to understand it first, or like really understand it first and ask, or maybe just ask why it is this way.
Ask why is a very powerful one post-it note that I would leave to other people for sure. 'Cause most people don't do that. So yeah,
but it also feels like a bit of a cheap Facebook motivational quote. So
it does. Yeah, you
I'm
could
always
slap
looking
it.
for better ways to express it. But it is basically this idea of, okay, do we really understand what we want, for example, or do we really understand how it should look like? Right? If you're creating something in 3D, if you don't have this clear image, then it will never look as good as if you really understand yourself what you want to do.
I wish some clients thought that way. But but that's a story for another day. Thank you guys so much. I guess some parting words, thanks for some parting words. What is your vision for the rest of Sanatorium, and are you already working on your next thing? And then we can talk about where people can find you.
We have tons of ideas, but nothing really fixed planned. So there's still a lot to do, and then we'll see. And my vision for the game is that it still works quite well in 10 years, and in 20 years, and forever. It's timeless.
Timeless. Yeah.
It will never look bad. I mean, in a sense of quality, and it's not like the like the up-to-date graphics, which will look bad in 2 years. It's kind of timeless, and if that works, then I'm very happy.
Yeah, I think at this point, we're still supporting the game, fixing a lot of maybe the issues that came up during the release, or even listening to player feedback if we now have a lot more people playing it, and thinking about what else we could do. So, that at least for the foreseeable future to support it further, and then maybe looking into some of the ideas we also have for other games.
Perfect. Okay.
I think we can say that we have placed a lot of small little Easter eggs in the game right now, of games we potentially want to do. So
okay.
If we ever do one of these games, we can point back to Sanatorium and say, look, that's
like
that's the connection.
Like a little Zeitglas universe, the Zeitglas gaming universe. Yeah, amazing guys. Well, thank you both for coming onto the show, for your team for getting in touch and such. It was such a lovely chat with you guys. I think this is a nice segue into my very last question for you, which is, where can other people find you? And if they do, what is the best way to support you?
Yeah, you can find Sanatorium on Steam, Sanatorium Mental Asylum Simulator, also sanatoriumgame.com. And the best way to support us, of course, to buy the game or get the game, look at it, and even join our Discord community.
Mm-hmm.
We are very active on there as well, so we're always welcome players' feedback or players' direct feedback if we get it, and if they're on the Discord, then yeah, they can support the community as well.
And obviously, I will put all of these links in the description of the episode so people can find you and support you the best way possible. But that is it from me, guys. Thank you so much for your time on the show. Wishing you all the best for Sanatorium and everything that comes after, and especially as you do some relentless bug crushing over the next week or so. And yeah, just wishing you the best day possible. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Very much.
All right, my friends, and that's a wrap on Indie Diary number 83. That's the last Indie Diary of 2025. We've done 83 developer interviews since the podcast was founded. Not 83 episodes in total, because there's the footnotes as well, but we're getting so close to 100, and it's a huge milestone. I'm glad to end the year with this one here. Thank you guys from Zeitglas for coming into the show, wanting to be part of it. And of course, listeners, you can find links to support them in the description of the show. You can also find links to support the show itself in the description of the episode and in the show notes. And you can find links to theindiediaries.com, where you can find, ways to follow me on social media or Patreon. But if you enjoyed this episode, maybe listen to another one. Who knows? You might find another one that you like. But other than that, I want to really thank my one and only Patreon, Peleg, for being an amazing supporter this entire year. Really, thank you, man. And I'll speak to you guys in the last episode of the year, which is going to be a little bit of a surprise.